Hello and welcome to what promises to be a really interesting discussion about what else but the Congress presidential election. Today was the last day, and now we are finally at the stage where we know who the nominees are, and it's Mallikarjun Kharge, veteran Congress politician, 80 plus years old. Supposed to be very trusted by the Gandhis, knows how to keep his own counsel, isn't too outspoken, isn't expected to be much of a challenge to the part of the Gandhis. And then on the other side, you have Shashi Tharoor, who is, of course, author, politician, former with the UN, and known to be a good speaker. And of course, someone who, Suhel, you seem to be supporting because I saw your tweet
Of
where you were
course,
hoping that,
I think the reasons I've given in my tweet, and I even said it at Kapil Sibal's book launch, where Kapil and I
Hmm.
were in a conversation where Shashi was in the audience, saying that, look, you need to reinvent yourself. Today, the Congress has the capacity and the potential to do so. All said and done, Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah. Mr. Shah not as much; he's only about 58, but Mr. Modi is 73. These are people who represent an older worldview. I mean, if you look at Mr. Modi's track record as far as digitization is concerned, the way he uses social media, you wouldn't imagine that, but that's a fact. The Congress is always known and is known as the grand old party. It had the
Hmm.
option of becoming the grand young party. Shashi has a great connect with the youth. He has a great presence on social media, which is where a lot of people are consuming media. Now, you might turn around and say that not all of India's population social media. Absolutely right. But the influencers are on it. Newspaper editors, columnists, people who actually shape opinions are on social media. The third is Shashi would make for a great brand ambassador because he's not the kind of person who spites his own country. If you saw his lecture at the Oxford Union, or if you see all his utterances, whether it's public or private, you will observe that Shashi is a great patriot. He's a great believer in the idea of India. Written books around that. So I thought that, he would have been a great bet. He's also someone who's not known to become subservient. He won't kowtow easily. He's a person of his own mind. And I thought he would bring erudition, he would bring scholarship, and a level of connect that the Congress didn't have. Especially when you have a guy like Rahul Gandhi, who, by the way, I have to say, people may hate it or not, but he's doing wonders with that whole Bharat Jodo Yatra. He is pulling in the crowds. Now, it may not be a huge amount, but the fact is that it's a great beginning. So I genuinely believe that Shashi Tharoor should win, but he won't. Here my problem, Advaita, is that the Congress has turned an election into a selection. It is who the Gandhis are selecting. The election is just the wrapper. It's a wrapper of deceit. It's a wrapper of a charade, and people say, "Oh my God, Kharge will become." But you saw the way people supported his nomination. The senior most party leaders. This is where the Congress goes wrong. They can't even do a fraud other than National Herald. They can't even do frauds properly. They can't even be ingenious when they're doing something with subterfuge. That's how transparent or stupid they are.
Sandeep, what do you think? Is Bharat Jodo Yatra, like Suhail saying, a success? Because, he hasn't, he's only now moved out of Kerala. He spent about 20 days in Kerala, where the Congress does have a presence and is the principal opposition party. Do you think it's working for him before we dive into the Congress presidential election?
Advaita, it's too early. Out of
Too early, yeah.
3,500 kilometers, he has done about 300 kilometers. And in that 300 kilometers, he has spent most of his time in Kerala, which is, in a way, a stronger hold of Congress, not even in Tamil Nadu, which used to be a good. So we'll see. And, as his illustrious father had said in 1989, that between crowds and votes, there is a difference. So we'll have to see how much of the crowds really get translated into votes, because crowds, can be mobilized by people. They have things at stake now. Whatever has been done in Kerala, our friend Sitaramaya and DK Shiv Kumar will be under pressure to get equal number of people there, Ashok Chavan in Maharashtra. So those are early, but the problem with them is this whole inconsistency and contradiction. Okay, to some extent, I would appreciate a Jairam Ramesh saying that everything else in the Congress is a sideshow, he said today, than the Bharat Europe. That is, I'm perfectly fine with that. But then don't.
What did he say, Sandeep? Can you just
He
repeat?
said in Congress, everything else is a sideshow other than the Bharatiya Euro
Which basically
Yatra.
is dissing the elections.
Yeah, dissing the election. Basically, saying wherever Rahul Gandhi is or the Gandhi is, that's where the action is. Everything else is, just distraction. And so,
Ah,
therefore, if they're taking everybody through this huge charade, in a facetious way, I'll say that it's a huge, humongous waste of stationery to go through this election. Why do you have to kill so many trees to print ballot papers and nomination papers, to do this? So that is the thing. And the problem with them is they think they're actually fooling the people. People actually believe then that this is a genuine election. Kharge is a genuine president if he becomes, and Sonia Gandhi has got nothing to do with it. It's a free and fair 9,000 people electing, and they think people are getting carried away by that. That's where the problem lies. I don't think the ordinary people who will vote for Congress has got any issue with the Gandhis leading it. They will vote or not vote because of that. It is people like you and me and Suhel who are more concerned about the organization and who is calling the shots, how the organization is revived, etc. The common man doesn't bother about what the organization is. So that is where
yeah.
the contradictions lie. Today, as soon as Kharge has filed his nomination, Kumari Selja immediately said Shashi Tharoor should withdraw. You're giving it away so blatantly. Digvijay Singh yesterday, while he was in the running or so-called in the running, he said whoever becomes president, he'll have to work under the guidance of Sonia Gandhi. He's honest.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. But then let's face it, let's say that, okay, just like as I keep giving the comparison, just like Mukesh Ambani will select a CEO and tell the world, he is my CEO, I run the company, it's my company, but from tomorrow, all executive decisions will be taken by Mr. XYZ for this business. Fair enough, you do that.
Sahil, I have to ask you this. Do you think, this process overall, the Congress has been accused of in the past of demoting the office of the Prime Minister because of this assumption or really fact, whichever way you want to look at it, of the Gandhis actually being in power and Dr. Manmohan Singh, despite all his qualifications, really being like remote controlled. Do you think the same thing is happening with the position of the Congress president? Because in the past, you've had some very great leaders of this country as Congress president. And even the Gandhis, the family itself, brought a certain stature to the presidency because of who they were by family association. Do you think
So those
today that has been diminished?
three things. A, those were different times. B, the Congress was in power. Today, the Congress is not in power. When you're not in power, for the family then to call the shots is a bit rich. The third, you've got to understand that when you talk about the Congress today, today's youth does not connect with a Rajiv Gandhi or an Indira Gandhi. I'm talking about young people today. Rajiv Gandhi died almost 20 years, 30 years ago?
30.
30 years ago. So a guy who's 20 or 18, he doesn't even know what Rajiv Gandhi stood for, didn't stand for. Plus, what had happened was, and I'd said this publicly, so it's my quote, lest you cheat and, usurp it. I'd said of Manmohan Singh, I said he's a great prime minister. But the truth is, Sonia Gandhi is in power, Manmohan Singh is in office. So the power still rests with the Gandhis, as it will today. The fact that they had to go and seek her blessings, it is no longer the Indian National Congress. It's the Indian Ashirwad Congress, जहाँ आपको किसी का आशीर्वाद लेने जाना पड़ेगा. Then see what they've done in this whole muddle. What did you set out to do? You set out to create an electoral process through which you would elect the new Congress president. In the process, you have completely messed up Rajasthan. You have upset both the leaders there, whether it is
Yeah.
Gehlot or Sachin Pilot. Collateral damage of the kind that you can ill afford because you're only there in two states, as in complete ruling states, whether it's Chhattisgarh or Rajasthan. What have you done? You've messed both up for no rhyme or reason. Today, a TS Dio is now trying to, lobby hard in Chhattisgarh in order to overthrow Bhupesh Baghel. Baghel,
Bagel name. Bagel
I
is something else
I prefer
entirely.
Baghel. So
He's just back from US
what is
like you.
actually happening is
He's
these
just back
guys
from New York, so.
these guys are doing a show, which, by the way, is weird. Now, here's the reality: the BJP also extended JP Nadda's term without an election, but no one talks about it. The reason why they don't talk about it is because BJP doesn't make a big fuss, and everyone knows that the party is still being run by Modi and Amit Shah. They're very clear. The difference is that Modi and Amit Shah are winning. The
Yeah.
problem is that Rahul Gandhi is losing election after election. The Gandhi leadership is adding no value to the Congress. The family is not in a situation or in a position to call the shots because they're frankly not winning state after state. It's the local leaders, whether it's a Gehlot or a Baghel, who are winning it. So my point is, why should someone subvert the entire process when it could have been a great process, mired in transparency, emerging from a new vision of the Congress? And this is my final point on this one. What has happened is, ironic or tragic as it may be, you have one person who we all thought would call the shots, Rahul Gandhi, who's on a Padayatra, completely divorced from the reality. The fact that Jairam Ramesh calls the Congress elections a sideshow just tells you how important these elections are, or the person who wins this will be.
Sandeep, I said this yesterday, I think it's 2 days ago when I was on CNN News 18, and I'm going to be back there at 9 p.m. But really, the Congress, and Suhel can come in on this as well, their messaging is so off because you start off with the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which is supposed to be your paramount outreach for the public. Okay. And then in the midst of that, you have this Congress election with all these leaks and all this drama. All right, so you're getting a handle of the Congress election. Suddenly, you have this old rivalry between Gehlot and Sachin Pilot up again. So now we're all focused on who will be the next Rajasthan chief minister. We've pretty much forgotten the Congress president election because we anyway thought that it's sort of a fixed match. So they're really messing up their messages, and I can understand why Jairam Ramesh would say, Bharat Jodo Yatra is the main deal because, frankly, they're sending out too many messages to the public, and the public is just going after the juicy bits.
See, Jairam Ramesh would say that because Bharat Jodo Yatra is his show. He has organized it, so somebody else by default or otherwise is stealing the thunder from there. So he has reasons to be peeved. But what I think is the first to answer this question of yours, like Suhel said, I think Rahul Gandhi is totally out of touch with reality. He thought it is going to be a master stroke. He'll continue to do his Bharat Yatra and appear to be totally detached on a different mission of uniting the nation, while this election will happen automatically and fall in place. And they said, see, this is Congress. We don't need to bother. Our democracy is at work within the party and outside the party and all the rest. He never bargained for all this mess that can be created out there up north while he is on his Padayatra. That's one part of it. Second, I would repeat, I totally agree with Suhel about this changing times and context, very different from when you're in power and you're not in power, and when you can, it's entirely a different scene. But where I see Advaita, the fun and games to begin with, is if Congress continues to deliver the series of defeats going forward. If they lose Gujarat, which they're most likely, Himachal, and then I don't know what will happen in Karnataka and the rest of it, then what happens to the authority? And that's when you might find uh, the equations getting upset. And I think to some extent Sonia Gandhi understands that. Therefore, she wanted to have a person who meets the loyalty test 200%, not even 100%. So even if Digvijay Singh had an iota of, he got a 99%, he gets rejected. And you get earlier they would select presidents in the Rashtrapati Bhavan to know that coming to a crunch, that person is going to side with the Congress. Just like Suhel Singh did with Rajiv Gandhi. When they put Pratibha Patil, they knew that if something happened, she is going to bat. So similarly here, they really wanted somebody, if tomorrow there is a crisis, either that person will move forward and take all the blame, or ensure that if there is a challenge to Rahul Gandhi's leadership going forward, that person protects it. But what Shashi Tharoor has done, where I'll give him more credit than what we have given so far in our talking, what has pleasantly surprised me, he is making strong points. If you've seen his manifesto, he's
Correct.
sending out very strong signals. Okay, as to what is the agenda. He's almost talking of a glasnost. He's talking about the organization, people coming forward. And even if he withdraws on that day or he gets trounced in the election, some of these messages are going to stick. And going forward, if there is some dissonance, discontent, you'll find these are the messages which will start, surfacing, and that will be the real test of, existential test for Congress going forward. And they are not bargaining for that while trying to do this a whole window dressing, stage management of this election, thinking by that they can, roll over all the questions and of course you and on a side show, if it is this Rajasthan, what Khilot
Yeah.
has shown that you cannot take a family retainer also for granted beyond a point. You can tell your Ramu Chacha to do A, B, C, D, but beyond a point, Ramu Chacha is also going to say enough is enough. I go somewhere, and that's what you might see in other states, like Suhel was mentioning in Chhattisgarh and other places. So, Sachin Pilot, you can make him the chief minister, but other than Sonia Gandhi's fiat, he will never be able to become the chief minister of Rajasthan. And even if he becomes, he's not going to have an easy ride. All these MLAs, very few of them have scant regard for him. Yes, Suhel.
See, Advaita, you
See,
got to
even
understand one thing here. The Congress had an opportunity to tell the world that they were willing to change, especially given all the noise that Rahul Gandhi has been making for the last 2, 3, 4 years. Number two, Mrs. Gandhi had the opportunity to tell people that we will be the Margdarshaks, but let someone else take the reins of the party. What do you have today? You have a Mallikarjun Kharge who speaks in three languages at the same time. You try and figure out what you can understand. The man is a mumbler, completely intellectually innocent. We haven't seen any of his intellectual heft in parliament. This is a man who's 80 years old. I have no issues about age, but he is nothing but someone who owes everything in life to the Gandhis. Shashi Tharoor, Under Secretary, United Nations. Before that, a brilliant student. Before that, topper in college, outstanding debater, man of his own this thing, educated, scholarly, written books, understands the issues that India faces even better than the Kharges of the world. And as I said earlier, is able to connect. The Congress had a very clear choice. They could have said that, look, here is a complete outsider, Shashi Tharoor. He has no links other than his 3 terms as member of parliament, which he's won, by the way. He hasn't taken backdoor entry like Kharge has recently. Here's a chap who's won the elections. He came in from the outside, works hard. I know how hard Shashi works for his constituency. You could have changed the narrative. What have you done? You've done all the tamasha, all the circus, and the narrative is the same. I've always said that the Congress has this innate ability to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. When everything is going fine, there will be some joker who will screw things up. Is it their advisors? I don't know. Is it Mrs. Gandhi? I don't know. But the point is, that the Congress needs to buck up only for one reason and one reason alone. You cannot have a one-sided democracy, which only has one party. And frankly, it is not Narendra Modi's job to go to Khan Market looking for an opposition. So you're pretty much, I mean, you have no situation here. I mean, that's a quotable quote, by the way.
I'm going to
Narendra
put that out.
Khan Market looking for opposition hai ki nahi? Acha, tum bhi aa jao, tum opposition ban jao. So you have a weird situation. And look at the dissonance in terms of sheer optics. If I were the Congress, I'd have said, let's focus everything on the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Since the elections are in any case a fast, they can wait. One fast doesn't change from time to time. I'd have put everything behind Rahul Gandhi. Today, what do you have? You have the optics which have gone against the Congress. You have Rajasthan in trouble. You have Rahul
Yeah.
Gandhi completely divorced from the realities of the elections. And you have the elections eating into the media time that would have gone primarily to Rahul Gandhi. So my point is, why would you commit harakiri every time? You only do it for two reasons. One is you're intellectually completely inept, or number two, you're totally disconnected from the realities of India. And I think it is a bit of both. Intellectually, the Congress has never been weaker, though tragically or ironically, if you look at the bench strength of the people they have in the party, superbly bright people. And the second is they're totally disconnected. People like you and I, Pallavi included, and Shandip, we're actually having a laugh at the expense of the Congress.
Yeah.
There should have been a time when we should have been lauding the makeover of the Congress. Today, we are saying that the Congress is actually further screwed. This evening should have been a discussion hailing Sonia Gandhi as this paragon of transparency, as someone who has allowed the Congress to undergo this massive change. But remember, she's been burned once by Kesri.
It's true. Hmm.
She won't allow that to happen again. A mother's love is much stronger than the welfare of a political party, as at least we are seeing it qua the Congress. On that note, Jai Hind, Jai
Jai
Bharat,
Bharat.
and শুভ পুজো এখন আমি যাব রাধা বল্লভী খাবো ভালো করে ঠিক আছে
ঠিক আছে.
Before the Jat lady comes in, I find people already excited to say at least there is a Jat representation. Welcome, Pallavi Ghosh.
yeah.
I think
That's obnoxious.
There's this joker dark prince that Suhel said works for no one, not for Aam Aadmi Party. I only work for Khas Aadmi Party. Thank you.
Only thing I'll add to what Suhel said, Shashi Tharoor, they would never make or choose to be the president because he can upstage Rahul Gandhi any day on nothing else, not on politics, but just on, as he was saying, on eloquence in terms of communication and the rest of it. And since Congress always looks at this elite audience, whether domestic or abroad, Shashi Tharoor can steal the thunder from him. So they would be very uncomfortable having him over Rahul Gandhi. And Shashi Tharoor likes his limelight. He is not going to let go and be, a fly on the wall or take a low profile as the president, even if Rahul Gandhi were calling the show. That will not be a very comfortable relationship.
That's not a low-key choice. Yeah.
But I think it also that apart, Sandeep and Adwaita, I think Rahul Gandhi thinks that Shashi Tharoor is not critical enough of the BJP. I mean, you are not going to hear him make loud noises, talk very scathingly. Even today, in his interviews, in his press conference, when this question was asked of him, that, can you speak Hindi? Can you have a non-Hindi speaking person as a party president? He spoke in Hindi, he replied. But at the same time, he praised the Prime Minister. And he said he was much, much better in his art of communication. Also, the fact that the Prime Minister actually called out Shashi Tharoor and said that, he can be an excellent brand ambassador for Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. So there is this trust deficit. I mean, he definitely overshadowed Rahul Gandhi. That's the sense they have. And also they feel that he's not critical enough of the BJP. I mean, whatever criticism he does is more intellectual. They want something a little bit more gutty and, what I mean, little rustic and ye gali do. If you look at the kind of trolling, if you look at the kind of trolling which the Congress party is increasingly doing, that's the kind of language they want from him. And that is something which is very alien to a Shashi Tharoor's style of speaking, writing, and communication.
And
Yeah.
Pallavi doesn't help the Shashi Tharoor's cause, Advaita, by praising him for saying, oh, he's giving a fight and he's carried this band Baja Barat to the nomination. No, why does she have to do that? She's undermining his
Yeah.
this thing by giving him so much importance. And Pallavi, I think to some extent you got a couple of points down for him with that tweet of yours.
But he did come with a band Baja
Ah,
Barat, Sandeep.
that's
I was
fine, but why do you
reporting
need
from
to
the
highlight
spot.
it? Why do you need
Who
to
gave it
Arey
up?
bhai,
Shashi Tharoor and
Arey,
Pallavi
Arey,
had to highlight it
he
and
had
say, oh, he's done such a
Pallavi,
great.
that's,
no,
you've
no,
been
no. Let
talking.
me tell you. अरे संदीप वो अपने घर से he had hired these people, they were
I
bajawing the
know.
drums during the press, then he comes there. I think considering that no one from the Congress party was speaking to him when he entered the AICC, he certainly
Oh,
showed a spirit which not many others, there was
I
no one,
agree with you,
no one went. Who were the ones?
but
Karti
if
and
nobody
some
is speak,
Praveen down.
if no one was
And it was,
speaking to him, why do you have to put the focus on him? That's why these people get angry with you.
are you jealous or are you just
No,
saying
I've
it?
told you I'll organize a Barat for you when
Okay,
you land in Calcutta from Harrison Road. That's
okay,
where
I'll
all
take
our
you up
band
on that.
parties.
Okay, let's see if you do that. You're not known to keep your word anyway, Sandeep, so I have nothing
That's
much to
true.
say. But
but
I mean,
Pallavi, I have to ask you this because before we forget to discuss him, one of the most interesting politicians is Digvijay Singh. Okay,
yeah.
he has really opened a can of worms and I guess displayed some sort of hurt because he's like, I went to Kharge. Kharge said, no, I'm not standing for election. And then I came back home. And then through the media, I found out that he is. So I went back to
Which is
Kharge.
not true. Which is not true. I think it was a complete put on. I always felt from day one he was a smokescreen and he was playing along. He was there in the yatra. He leaves the yatra. He comes here. He meets Mrs. Gandhi. No. He was very much a part of that coterie which was working on to take revenge against Ashok Gehlot and look for a suitable candidate. See, even Digvijay Singh also knows he cannot be, and he's beyond all this. He doesn't want to be the Congress president. I mean, of course, he would have been told he would have, but he was just not serious. He took up 10 sets of nomination papers, and I was there at his residence, and lots of our journalists also were. We were there till around 9:30, 10. And we were telling him, Kharge ka bhi naam aa sakta hai, iska bhi naam aa sakta hai. And in fact, in my interview, he very much hinted. He said, if I find a consensus strong candidate and if I get an indication, I will not file my nomination paper. So I think it was all very well prepared. I refuse to believe. Someone like a Digvijay Singh not knowing that Kharge is going to be contesting, it's impossible. That man is very glued to the ground. Uske itne sources hai.
Hmm. What do you think? What do you think, Sandeep? Do you think he didn't know?
I would go by Pallavi's thing, but knowing that Gandhis may have also told him that it'll be a toss-up between you and Kharge or something like that. So he was trying his luck. He would definitely like to be the president. But if you see, even 2 days back, when people told Kamal Nath about Digvijay Singh being a contestant, Kamal Nath was quite dismissive in his interview. He said, "Acha, okay, dekha jayega," type of a thing. He was quite dismissive over there. Digvijay Singh must have, to some extent, tried his luck, saying that he could be. But I personally always thought yesterday in the shows which I came on, I mentioned that Digvijay Singh's trust factor would have been lower than any of these people. He is more articulate. He has certainly displayed more energy, even at his age, and certainly he also nurtures some ambition. And he has been an Arjun Singh's chela who knows how to turn tables and play politics if it come into a crunch. So I think his trust quotient was definitely lower. So maybe Kharge wasn't ready to begin with, or they weren't sure. So I think A.K. Antony would have sealed the deal for Kharge. If Pallavi should be able to say, I think
Well,
A.K.
he was
Antony.
supposed to have gone back. He was supposed to have gone back day before, but he stayed back for 2 days and he's still in Kerala House and he's one of the proposers for Kharge. So, A.K. Antony, Mukul Vasne, K.C. Venugopal, Digvijay Singh, they're part of the same gang and the coterie. The few people she now kind of trusts if she can. I mean, till a few days back, it was Ashok Gehlot. But now these are the people. So, that's how she works. Unlike a Rahul Gandhi or a Priyanka Gandhi Vadra who just talk to one or two people, her style has been something which she's picked up from Indira Gandhi for the years when I've followed and covered her. She listens a lot. Everyone says that. She listens a lot, and then, she gets a lot of opinions from a lot of people. In this case, 6 to 7 people, and then she comes to a conclusion. I think the decisions today of the Congress party and Mrs. Gandhi are coming out more out of revenge and anger against Ashok Gehlot. They
So
have a
it's really
persecution
sad.
complex.
So it's really
No?
sad that Pallavi. It's a very sour relationship right now between them.
Advaita, when I was standing at AICC when Ashok Gehlot came in his car. The first one to come in was Mukul Vasnik, and he told me that I'm going to be a proposer for Kharge. Then there's a car which comes in, which is of Ashok Gehlot. No one even welcomed him there. No one. And he goes to the election office. He stands there, and then he comes out of his car, stands on the footboard, and waves to the media, and then he goes back. So, and you know how the Congress can be. Today's darling becomes a pariah immediately if they feel that they are not on the right side. The same thing they did with
Dr.
Captain.
Gandhi.
The buddies of Captain who lived off him, and look at the kind of language they started using against him. Look at the kind of language they use against Ghulam Nabi Azad. I mean, in a day, teen char bar, you have a Jairam Ramesh tweeting against him and all of them. That's how it works there. I
Okay,
don't find
before
the
I
BJP.
take off, I'll just ask one question of Pallavi. Where is Priyanka Gandhi in all this?
So yesterday, when I was going back home late into the night, unlike you, Sandeep, when you're cribbing and tweeting late into the night, some people
Poor old
work. So
retired
when I was
man.
going back, so when I was going back home, this was around 10:30, 11. Sonia Gandhi actually went to meet Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. She's there for 2 meetings. In fact, in the one meeting with Kamal Nath, she was there, and one more meeting after that, and she was very much there. But yeah, I'm a little surprised. She was supposed to have joined the Yatra on 19th, but she's nowhere. I mean, I don't know when she's going to join. I don't know, Karnataka leg maybe, because he's going to be there for 22 days. And mind you, Rahul Gandhi is not too well because he apparently has a huge knee issue which has cropped up. Yeah.
Chalo, I need to log out. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Bye.
Bye.
I log out too. Bye bye, Advaita. Thank you very much.
Not at all. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
Pallavi, you're
Thank
off
you
as
very
well?
much. Yeah. Okay, he's
Okay.
gone off.
Yeah, but last question to you. Who's on Kharge's side and who's on Tharoor's side? How are they?
Well, Advaita, Tharoor was also a very lonely kind of a scenario. Over there, no high-profile leader came. There was Karti
Yes.
Chidambaram, there was Sandeep Dikshit, Salman Soz, who are the ones who are his proposers, and he got some younger and smaller ones. The preparations also from the Congress party were not much for him at all. In fact, none. And in fact, only now the Congress has released pictures of him filing the nomination. So it's very clear who is the chosen one, who is the official one. For Kharge, I'm telling you, I saw big boras of Mossambi being brought in, food being brought in, and all the senior leaders started coming in. And then they released pictures. He gave a sound bite. Tharoor held a press conference, not inside AICC. He did it at his house. Kharge did it at AICC. How official can it get more than this? So clearly Kharge will have the numbers. And the messaging has been made to those 9,000 odd delegates that he is our person. You have to vote for him. I don't know if Tharoor still carries on and doesn't withdraw by 8. I wonder how many votes he's going to get.
Okay. Then why is he in it, do you think? Just is it sort of
to make it suits the Gandhis also. It suits Sonia Gandhi also to make it look like a real election. For him, I think he just wants to make a point that I'm ready to contest. I'm not shying away from a fight. Sometimes you would like to be a martyr. In a party like a Congress party, everyone wants to be that.
So he's not really going to be offending anybody by standing up and giving the good fight.
Kumari Shelja in her interview to me told me that it's the fitness of things that Tharoor walks out. I think over the next few days, there would be a little bit of pressure on Shashi Tharoor to withdraw, but I don't think they even care about him. I mean, that goofa which happened over the map today, the party didn't defend him. Jairam Ramesh tweeted, you saw that tweet. In that tweet, he said it's up to Tharoor and his team to deal with this huge error. He's a Congress leader, but he's never had too many friends. I mean, I keep saying this. He has friends in other parties, TMC and, even JDU. He has more friends there. On any given day, he goes out with, say, a Mahua Moitro or a Pawan Verma. So he has friends there. So
Yeah.
Congress
Also,
party,
I
yeah.
think even in Kerala, he's not that popular, which is his own state.
Well, I mean,
In
the
fact,
Kerala unit of the Congress party said we are not going to support him. Did you see
support
anyone from Kerala Congress even tweeting, wishing him all the best? Up till now, I haven't seen. I mean, they do it later is a different thing.
no. I mean, they've come out and said they're not going to support him. But anyway,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Pallavi, for
Thank you
joining
so
us. I
much,
know.
Advaita. Take care. And thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having all of us. The next drama is going to be Rajasthan, so we are going to watch out for that also.
Yeah, we are. We are.
Yeah.
And wait, that's tomorrow, right? 2 days is over tomorrow. So let's see.
Yeah, but let's see. I mean, Gehlot has gone back. Sachin is supposed to go back tomorrow. I think they're just going to wait for some cooling period and see that the MLAs calm down, and then we can expect something in a week maximum. Yeah.
I think now they won't do anything till this, I think, election.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to take the attention away from that because Kharge is going to start campaigning, going to many states. So let's see what happens.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for
All
tuning in.
right.
And
Thank
we'll be
you.
back soon enough. And keep watching, like, share, subscribe, etc., etc. See you soon.
Thank you
Bye.
very much. Bye.